Now on to our second semifinal for the 2020/2021 college football playoff. We have the number 2 seed Clemson Tigers taking on the number 3 seed Ohio State Buckeyes. Now this is the third time that these two teams will be squaring off in the college football playoff. In the first matchup, Clemson absolutely dominated Ohio State 31-0, and last year Clemson beat Ohio State in a very much closer game. In fact, when you look back at all of the games in the college football playoff, this is one of the more controversial ones, as there were many questionable calls in that game that went in the way of the Tigers, that which included that fumble that turned into an incomplete pass, as instead of a scoop and score for Ohio State, it resulted in an incomplete pass in what ultimately was one of the difference makers in that game, as well as a controversial targeting penalty on star Ohio State defensive back Shaun Wade when the Buckeyes were up 16-0 in that game. So what does the third matchup in the college football playoff between Clemson and Ohio State have to offer? Let's get to the preview and the predictions. So when you look at this matchup, the first thing that you can look at is possibly this could be a shootout. This could possibly be the better of the two semifinal matchups in this college football playoff. Now, both these teams are in the top 10 in scoring offense in college football. And to make it even better, both these teams are in the top 7. Clemson is 4th in scoring offense, scoring an average of just under 45 points per game, while Ohio State is 7th in scoring offense, scoring an average of about 42.5 points per game. Now, in scoring defense, Clemson is much better than Ohio State in this category as well, only allowing about 17 points per game, and Ohio State 25th in scoring defense, giving up 21 points per game. So, is this going to be an offensive type of game, or will it be a defensive type of game? So some keys I have to this game. Which quarterback will get more time in the pocket? Now, both these quarterbacks, when they have time to make plays, they're very successful. Although Trevor Lawrence hasn't really been pressured all that much this season. I mean, the most that Clemson has been pressured this season was when backup quarterback DJ Uiagalelei was starting at quarterback when he was under center. Which quarterback will use their mobility the best? Because Trevor Lawrence was a difference maker for Clemson in this game last year, and what ultimately got Clemson the victory. And the matchup that I'm most excited about, other than the quarterback battle that we have, is the running game versus the run defenses. And Trey Sermon, who's coming off of a record-setting performance in the Big Ten championship game, can he carry the Buckeyes again? As J.K. Dobbins was a huge problem for Clemson's defense in last year's matchup. So can they be carried by Trey Sermon, Master Teague? And Travis Etienne, how will he fare against that Buckeyes defense? The quarterback matchup's great. The running back matchup is great. Which defense will win the turnover battle? That's going to be a huge difference in the game. Because both these teams, they feast off turnovers, and they'll make you pay for them. So the turnover battle is going to be huge in this one, because you've got to shorten the game for your opposing offense. Because both these teams can score and score in a hurry. So the running game could be an impact as well, kind of burning up the clock, especially if you're leading in that fourth quarter, about maybe 8 minutes left. Because the longer that your opposing defense is out there, the more tired they're going to get down the stretch. So this game could be won in the trenches, could be won in the running game. It could be won in about 3 or 4 different areas on this field. Now there are 2 factors that I think could work out in the Buckeyes' favor. 1, Ohio State is much more rested than Clemson is. With Ohio State only playing 6 games this season, Ohio State hasn't had to face the gauntlet of a schedule that is in the ACC conference and what Clemson has gone through this season. I mean, I know Clemson is in the ACC and it's one of the more weaker Power 5 conferences, but having much more games played than your opponent, I think that's a huge disadvantage coming off of when you're looking at the aspect of more rest, especially when we're getting this late into the season. So that could work out in the Buckeyes' favor, and I think it very likely will work out in their favor, but the question is, can the third time be the charm for the Buckeyes to beat Clemson? Because even though Clemson hasn't really played anybody other than Notre Dame, but still, that's a lot of wear and tear on your players. When you're looking at what did the ACC play, like 10 or 11 games this season, which 10 or 11 compared to 6, huge advantage for Ohio State in that department. And Ohio State, they will also, can they take advantage of Nolan Taylor, one of, if not the best secondary players on that Clemson defense, suspended for the first half in this game after a targeting penalty in the second half of the ACC championship game. So can Ohio State take advantage of that, using their star receivers in Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave to kind of expand that Ohio State offense, kind of stretch the offense? Can that happen? As far as a prediction is concerned, I think that this game is going to definitely be the better of the two semifinal matchups. For Clemson, can they make it 3 in a row against the Buckeyes in the college football playoff? For the Buckeyes, can the third time be the charm? Will the third time be the charm and finally beat Clemson? Because Clemson has been Ohio State's kryptonite in these last couple of seasons. The way I see this game, I do think that Ohio State can take advantage of Nolan Turner being on the sidelines in this first half. Although, like I said from the beginning, which quarterback will use their mobility the best? Trevor Lawrence was a difference maker last year, and that's ultimately what led the comeback of being down 16-0 in that game last year against the Buckeyes. I do think this game is going to be a lot closer than the first one, the first semifinal between Alabama and Notre Dame. The way I see it, despite Ohio State having the rest over Clemson, despite Ohio State having an opportunity to take advantage of the short staff in the secondary position for Clemson for the first half, I still think Clemson wins this game. I think it'll be either a shootout offensively or it's going to be a defensive slugfest. I just can't see this game being in the middle of the road like a 35-28. I think we're either going to get like 45-42 or we're going to get like 21-17. Somewhere in that range. But I still think the Tigers will win this one. I just think that Dabo Swinney, he's got Ohio State right where he wants them. And he knows that he is Ohio State's kryptonite in this college football playoff. So that is my prediction for this semifinal matchup. Like, share, and subscribe. Comment your prediction down below. And I will talk to you next time.